G'day. What we're going to do this activity is we're going to have a look at analysing a science experiment. Now on the website you'll see some details, not full details from a write-up, but you'll just see the results, which is kind of the bit that we're interested in for this activity. And here are Alison's results. As you can see, we've got the temperature recorded and the salt dissolved recorded. Now the important things to remember to look at here is that when we organise our results in a table, all the information about the numbers that are in the table should go into the first row or the header. Looking at the first column, the temperature column, at the top you can see the thing that's being recorded is temperature, and the unit in which it's being recorded in is the Celsius. As you go down, all you can see is pure numbers. There should be no C's in there, there should be no grams, there should be no L's, M's, A, B, C's, D's. Whichever letter you choose should not be in those boxes. A couple of terms from science that are important here are the independent variable, which in this experiment's case is the temperature, and the dependent variable, which in this experiment's case is the salt dissolved. Key differences between the independent and the dependent variable, as far as we're concerned, is the independent variable goes first and goes on the horizontal axis, which is otherwise known as the x-axis. The dependent variable goes second in a table, which goes, when it goes onto a graph, goes onto the vertical or the y-axis. Okay, here we go. Here we've got the results from Alison's experiment. You can see here that it's a little bit messy in a spreadsheet because temperature doesn't quite fit into there, and mass of salt dissolved doesn't quite fit into there. But you can see that in the formula bar up here, the mass of salt dissolved is there, and the temperature in degrees C is there. What we're first asked to do is we're asked to make a scatter graph. Now the way we do that is we just highlight the details we're going to put into a scatter graph, and we should look at something like insert charts. I mean, mine just says charts, I believe in yours it says insert charts, and just click on scatter. We're going to start off with a marked scatter, and then it should just make it for us, almost nice and easy, except that it's not right. When Excel produces a spreadsheet like this or a chart like this, it always wants to give you this, which isn't going to get you the top marks, especially when you consider that most of the time we're printing out in black and white. If we've only got one line, we don't actually need a legend, so that should be the first thing we need to go. So we just click on the legend, click the delete button, and watch it go. Second thing is, let's make it bigger. Let's move the chart into its own new sheet. We can call it chart 1 or chart whatever we want to use. And now we've got the whole chart on its own self, behaving nicely. We can see these horizontal lines. They're not particularly pretty. Click on them and you should be able to delete them. So now we've got something that's a little prettier. In this case we might be better off starting off at on 20 on the x-axis. So click on the axis, right click on the axis, format the axis, and looking at the horizontal axis scale, we can set 20 as our minimum. In maths we generally start at 0 unless we're trying to make a misleading graph, but that's not a hard and fast rule. The vertical axis, we kind of want it to start at 10 to try and make the most use of the space. So again, right click, format the axis, and we'll start at 10. So now I've got a much more I've got a graph that takes up much more of the space. If I want to have the grid lines in, now for some reason I've managed to click on the wrong place on these. that's it. Major grid lines will do the lines that you want. So we can actually make it look like we've got both sets, so it just makes it sometimes a bit easier to read. We can see here that we've got options for axis titles, so I can put my title below the axis. Now my independent variable for this one was the temperature in degrees C. For degrees C, don't worry too much about trying to find the degrees. Most people accept that it's a thing. For the vertical title, which was the amount of salt dissolved, we've got a couple of options. We've got the horizontal title, which will take up a lot of space, the vertical title and the rotated title. I'm going to put the vertical title in because I think it looks better. No, I don't. It's the
That's what the vertical is. So I'll change mine, I'm going to go for the rotated one, and this should be the amount of salt dissolved, and that was measured in grams. So our graph title should be something along the lines of graph to show how salt which gives us a better idea of what
the whole experiment's about. Okay, next thing that you may be asked to do, especially in maths and science, is to add a line of best fit. Now, a line of best fit in America tends to be known as a trend line, and because these programs are written in America, we would generally use the American thing. So a trend line is a line of best fit, and it will quite happily do that for you. For most of your school career up to GCSE, you're not going to need to do anything other than a linear regression line. So leave it at that. Just press OK, and there you've got a line of best fit that goes from your lowest value to your highest value. And we can see here that Alison's results were pretty much in a straight line. This one dissolved a little bit less than expected. This one dissolved a little bit more than expected, but nothing too outstanding. So there we go. We've got a really nice graph now that we can hand in that looks like how a graph should fit. So let's copy that. So copy the whole graph. When you copy the whole graph, make sure you click on something away from the data, and we're going to put that into Word. So to paste it, I'm going to use a title graph. Let's have that a subheading to the results heading. So as results, we'll have as heading 2. Graph will be our subheading from that. The heading 1 would obviously be the title of the report. So the results would come from here. The graph we should just be able to paste. So Control V, Command V on a Mac, and it should go into very nice format there. And that's a nice fitting graph. You can see that it fits right into the borders of your Word document. Any changes that we might like to have, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a shadow just to make it stand out a bit. See, then that's the shadow there. It makes it look like it stands off the page a little bit. And in the results, we'll go back into Excel, go back to sheet 1, and we're just going to copy the results we had. So highlight, Control C or Command C on a Mac, go back to our Word document, and we can paste them. So Control V. Not very pretty at the moment, but using Word we can highlight this and we can add our shading as we want. We could use an automatic style, or we could do our own more of our own sort of thing, all I'm going to do is just leave it with a standard style, just so that you can see that it can be done. The only difference to that I'm going to do is I'm going to make the numbers centered, because it just looks nicer. Okay, so that's how to do a graph and a table using Excel. The main points of this is the hard work is done in Excel, the pretty work is done in Word. So once you've made the correct graph, you can then transfer it to Word and then make it pretty.